Hello everyone, and welcome to this session on Introduction to Instrumentation Documents. In this lesson, we'll look at the different types of documents used in instrumentation and how they help us design, install, and troubleshoot industrial control systems. So by the end of this session, you will understand what each document represents, when to use it, and how they all connect to give us a complete picture of a process. So before we dive into theory, just take a look at these images. Have you ever seen any of these diagrams before? Maybe a process flow diagram, a P&ID, or a loop sheet. Now, they may look complicated at first, but each one tells a very specific story, and that's what we are about to unpack. So what exactly are instrument documents? So just like electrical or civil engineers have their own drawing standards, instrumentation also has a unique way of representing systems. So these documents describe how instruments connect to each other, to the process, and to the control system. So because instrumentation covers such a broad range, which includes sensors to PLCs to control logic, we need different types of diagrams to show different levels of detail. Now this takes us to the types of instrument documents. So here are the main types of instrument documents. We have the process flow diagram, the PFD, which shows the big picture of how fluids and materials move through a process. We also have the process and instrumentation diagram, P&ID, which shows the process equipment along with the instruments that measure and control it. We also have the loop diagram, which zooms in on the individual instrument loops, showing the wiring, the terminal numbers, and even the calibration ranges. We also have another diagram, which is not included in this video, called the functional diagram, which focuses on the control logic or strategy, that is the decision-making side of automation. So in all of this, these are the types of instrument documents. Now we move to explaining these documents. So the PFD is our starting point, the process flow diagram. So the process flow diagram gives a high-level overview of the process, which shows the tanks, pumps, compressors, and how the process fluid flows through them. So at this stage, instruments are shown only sparingly, and the goal is to understand how materials move, react, or get separated, and not the electrical details. The next we have is a loop diagram. So when we need more detail, we zoom further in, and that's where loop diagrams come in. So a loop diagram focuses on a single instrument loop. Let's say a pressure transmitter connected to a controller and then to a control valve. So it shows the wire numbers, the terminal blocks, cable types, and even calibration ranges. This is the document you reach for when troubleshooting or wiring an instrument in the field. Next, we have the process and instrumentation diagram, otherwise known as the P&ID. Now, this is one of the most important documents in any industrial plant. So a P&ID combines both the process and the instrumentation. So here you will see clearly every valve, sensor, transmitter, and controller labeled and connected. So this is the main document technicians use to understand what is measured, what is controlled, and how they interact. So think of a P&ID as a bridge between process and control. So in instrumentation, no single document can show everything. So if you try to put all process details, wiring, and control logic into one sheet, it becomes impossible to read. That's why we have different levels, each focusing on a specific layer of information. Alright, so some diagrams will show the process, others will focus on the instruments, and some will show how everything works together logically. So to fully understand the control system, technicians often have to switch between these diagrams. So you might start with a PFD, which is the process flow diagram, or a P&ID, the process and instruments diagram, to understand the overall process. And then you move to a loop diagram for wiring details, and then you can finally check a functional diagram to understand the control logic. So each one gives you a different level of zoom, just like switching from a satellite map view down to street level. So together they give you a complete picture of the process. So as an instrument technician, what do you think? You can share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you on the next one.